What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Grid Encore. I'm your host, Ben Schneider, alongside, as always, Brenden Craftsman. Brenden, how's it going tonight?
Doing good, Ben. We're here for another Motor Monday, and yes, not going to move this a muscle because we've got some things to talk about from the Charlotte ROVAL, and it's always good to be with you here on Grid Encore, and as well, want to welcome our brand new Patreon supporter, Ben.
Yes, we do have a new Patreon supporter, and as always, we're going to start the show highlighting these wonderful individuals who help keep us on the air, expand our coverage, and continue to create new content for you all. Colin, Deshelle, Mark, Robin, David, and Matthew, and we welcome Crystal, our newest patron, into our Patreon. Thank you so much, Crystal, for joining us, I believe, last night after the wrap-up show, if I'm not mistaken. So
awesome.
If you like what you see tonight, you want to consider joining these fine individuals in our Patreon and help with the Grid Network continue to build what we're trying to build over here for 2026 and beyond. You can follow the link in the description box below, or if you'd rather make a one-time tip to us instead, you can visit the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description box below as well, or if you're watching us live on YouTube, we have a super chat feature enabled as well. Now, before we get into the show tonight, I want to just be upfront and open with you all, which has always been my philosophy in the 5 years that I've been here, part of his team. And I imagine, if I'm being honest, it won't come as a complete and total shock to a lot of people who may be listening to this right now. I've been going back and forth all day. Do I want to draft out a statement, or do I want to just kind of speak from the heart here? And then I realized that I already basically have a script of what I shared with my colleagues here at the Grid Network about 90 minutes ago here regarding my future and my plans for 2026. Our plans, I guess I should say, Brenden, as well, for the Encore show and beyond. So I just want to read you all the statement that I put out to our team, again, about an hour and a half before we went on the air tonight. I talked with Joe Sammiego and Kobe Lambeth, my fellow members of the leadership team here at the Grid Network, after the wrap-up show yesterday, and I informed them that I would be moving on from a full-time role at the Grid Network after the 2025 season comes to a close. The main reason for this is because I've been longing to get back into independent content creation. I want to try to also expand my coverage with Brock Beard and NASCAR.info going forward. And so the way I see it, I'm not closing any doors. I'm not leaving motorsports media coverage by any means. I'd just like to open some new ones. And I'd like to be talking about a whole variety of different things on a weekly basis and have the freedom to do that, again, as an independent content creator. So tentatively, I anticipate that the Encore show will come to an end, at least in its current form. We'll see what the future holds, but in its current form, at the very least, on Monday, November 10th, which is 1 week after the Phoenix reaction episode. And then I anticipate we'll do one final series finale the week after that. I will continue on as a Women in Motorsports contributor through the end of the F1 Academy season. They still have one round left at Las Vegas in about a month and a half's time, at the end of November. And I imagine, similar to last year, Grid Tonight, if anything notable happens in the last two Formula 2 rounds at Qatar and Abu Dhabi, they'll have no problem picking those up as well. On a personal note, I just want to say I've loved hosting this show for the last 4 years, being a part of this team for the last 5 years. I've formed lifelong friendships, and I'm forever grateful for the opportunities that this outlet has given me and the experiences that this outlet has given me. But at the same time, I've heard it said before that the only constant in life is change, and I think it's time for me to make a change in this part of my career. Now, all that said, I'm not opposed to continuing to stop by as an occasional guest. I won't be a stranger here at the Grid Network. I'll always be rooting for this team's success, and you may still see me pop in from time to time. We're still figuring out if I'll stay on board in some sort of advisory transition role for a little bit. And again, we'll figure out with the team over the next couple of months if somebody's going to pick up this show or how they'll incorporate Xfinity Truck, ARCA, and other feeder series coverage into Grid Live again, or whatever a new form or style of the Encore show might be, because I know a lot of you appreciate the coverage that we provided for you the last 4 years as well. And we want to make sure that continues in some way, shape, or form. But as for Encore in its current form right here, right now, this is it for 2025. and whatever that is, I guess, including tonight, 5 more weekly wrap-up shows, and then one final series finale the week after that, probably reminiscing on the good times that we've had here over the last 4 years. But again, on a personal note, Brandon, this is just coming from the heart now. I'm reached the end of my scripts, but it has been an absolute joy to work with you, and I hope we continue to get to work together in some way, shape, or form in the years to come.
Yeah, Ben, I agree with everything you said there, and can't thank Kobe and Joe enough for giving us this platform, you and I, to have this Monday night, and just your masterful work. I echo Kobe's sentiments of getting this show off the ground each and every week, and putting the time you do to make everything work well. And it's a joy to be able to come here on Monday evenings and talk about this stuff we see throughout the weekend with you, and plan to do that in the future in some shape or form. But I am living proof, being here right now, that it's not what you know as much as it is who you know. One of the main reasons, I'd say the only reason I'm here, is because of a man named Luis Torres, a photographer in Everett, Washington, that knows Joe, that knows Kobe. And I appeared as a guest on Lewis's podcast. I was happy to be on there at the end of 2020, and then at some point in the end of 2021, I was telling Lewis, like, hey, I'd like to continue, not stop doing things in the motorsports side of my career. I really enjoyed it. I'm in radio now. I enjoy that, of course, but that the passion I had for motorsports was still burning strong, and I wanted to, do that with other folks that had that same vision. And he said, you need to check out the guys at the Grid Network. And so he got me in contact with Kobe and Joe, and I thank Lewis so much for that. And Joe and Kobe have been great partners, great friends, and as well as everyone here at the Grid Network. Goodness, just so many talented individuals a part of this team, and just want to thank them for all the years they've allowed us to have this Monday night shindig, and all the craziness we've had, and can't wait to look at all the great moments, the highlights in our season finale, of course, but also very hopeful for 2026 and beyond, and seeing what we can do on that route. More to come there, but thank you, Kobe. It says, thank you, Ben and Brenden. Going to need some tissues during the final show. Oh, don't worry about it. Been an incredible ride. Friendship continues beyond the Grid Network. Absolutely, my friend. That's the best part. Yeah, certainly. Friendship's not severed in the slightest. This is just closing of a book and moving to a new chapter. But excited for it, and just want to thank you, Ben, for again all the countless hours of work that you put into this show.
Yes, and that's the biggest takeaway I think that I want people to get from all of this. I'm not going anywhere. If you are a fan of the playoffs, I apologize in advance, but you're not going to get rid of me.
You didn't get him. No,
you're still going to have to put up with me.
I'm still his hype man. Yes. You're not going to get rid of us.
And Brandon's hopefully going to come with me with whatever we're doing. I do have a future, some ideas for a future lined up. I'm not ready to share them yet. I'm not ready to finalize them yet. But I'm going to argue to the death over a full season format. I'm going to keep up with Mark Martin and fighting the good fight on that. I'm going to tell you why I'm concerned over the current direction of the IndyCar series under Penske Entertainment, and I'm going to continue to laugh at Scuderia Ferrari and call them the Dallas Cowboys of Formula One racing. I just might not be at Grid Network when that's happening. But
I picked a bad day to wear red.
Well, yes, we're still finalizing all of those things, and like I said, Kobe and I go way back, and he's the one that I'm indebted to the most. He's the one that reached out to me originally and said, hey, we like what you're doing on YouTube, and have seen some things that you put out there, and we'd love to have you come by on Sunday nights to help us on wrap up. And who would have thought the journey would have led as far as it has over the last 5 years now. And like I said, I'm excited about what the future holds, but I'm also sad that this is coming to an end again, at least in its current form here on Monday nights. And it's going to be bittersweet in a few weeks, in the second week in November here when we do our final show. But I also wanted to not leave you all in the dark here. I wanted to give you all a heads up ahead of time so we don't completely blindside you either here. So like I said, we've got 5 or 6 more shows in us here, and we will lead into that right here, right now, with our coverage of the Charlotte ROVAL. So we appreciate the support from each and every one of you, and there's always that risk when you start naming people off that you're going to forget somebody. So I'm going to have to make sure I have that list compiled here over the next several weeks and make sure I don't forget anyone. I'm not going to try to do that right now, but there's a lot of people that I have to thank, and we will be thanking them throughout the next several weeks here on this show.
For sure.
But in the meantime, let's get into the show here for tonight, and we start with NASCAR Xfinity and a theme of familiarity all throughout the show here tonight with our race winners and in some cases champions, in some cases perhaps would-be champions, future champions, hopefully future champions if you value the integrity of championships in NASCAR, and we'll get into that obviously a little bit later. But Connor Zilisch won yet again on the Charlotte ROVAL. 17 consecutive top 5 finishes for that young man and everything that he has been through, and 18 for that car if you include the one race that Kyle Larson did when Zilisch got hurt at Talladega. Of course, Larson went on to win that race for car number 88, so that car in the Owners' Championship side of things is on a streak of 18 straight top 5s, which is just absolutely phenomenal in this era of parity and competitiveness in modern NASCAR National Series racing. But Brenden, just what are your thoughts real quick on what Connor continues to do and the championship advantage that he is continuing to build for himself, all those playoff and stage points coming in handy? I think we can all but pencil him in as a championship 4 contender, given how he's been running and how many playoff points he's accumulated, even though we're just beginning the round of 8 next week.
Yeah, continues to be impressive and up there with his junior motorsports teammate, Justin Allgaier, in a really great spot here headed into the remainder of the Xfinity Series playoffs. And gotta just, again, give appreciation to just the year that junior motorsports has had as a whole, and able to ring that bell several times this year, and not just from Connor Zilisch, of course, but he's, after coming back from one injury, from another injury, from an injury, from a victory, bouncing back and still repeating and showing that he can show up and get it done. And especially on the road courses, that's been his strong point. And we've known that for a couple of years now, especially you go back to his overall win at the 24 hours a day, the Rolex 24, and winning at Watkins Glen on debut. I mean, the list is goes on and on of how much greater than sliced bread has been able to accomplish in his short career thus far.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely sensational. You're running out of things to say about the season that he is having, and again, you can only continue to hope that he can put together one more solid performance. I mean, it still has to get through the round of 8 first, but we anticipate, unless something catastrophic happens, I mean, the run of top 5s he's been on, he can almost afford to have a mulligan, even in this format with how much of an advantage he has. We'd imagine that he was all but guaranteed shot at a championship on a few weeks' time here at Phoenix. Now, there was some drama for the cut line for the final spot in the round of 8. Again, you can say what you will about whether or not this is going to matter in the grand scheme of things, how much of a chance these drivers really have at taking the fight to Connor Zilisch with the type of season that he's having. But right here, right now, keeping an eye on the battle, it came down to Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray for the final spot. And Brenden really, I think, left a lot of people scratching their heads almost as much as it was last year. It was almost like they had the opposite problem. They didn't wait. They waited to throw up a caution until we got the white flag. And then at the absolute last possible minute was when they finally froze the field. There was no NASCAR overtime as a result because Zilisch had taken the white. And so they had to go back to video evidence to see what the final result was. And it felt like it had to have been at least 10 minutes that we were waiting for confirmation. I think we were all pretty sure that Sammy Smith had been the one to advance. But Taylor Gray ends up heartbroken, said he was maybe going to cry himself to sleep. Unfortunately, just absolutely devastated that he was unable to make it into the round of 8 and come up just short there. But what were your thoughts on the finish to the race and the long wait that we had to sit through again? It reminded me a lot of Martinsville on the Cup Series side of things last year, with all the different team orders and race manipulation shenanigans that we had going on. Is that a great look for the sport to have that long of a wait to determine who gets in and who's out?
No, it's not. And it reminds you of last year on the Cup side with Christopher Bell and William Byron just standing, not actually side by side, but it takes me back to that. It takes me back to Talladega of was it this year or last year? I mean, of Jeb Burton and company, and trying to figure out who
Yeah, that
won
was this
that.
year.
Yeah, the spring of this year. So trying to figure out who won that event. I mean, yeah, it's having this sort of scenario again. Not too good of a look for the series, but Connor Zilisch still coming out with the win, and Taylor Gray just a bitter having the agonizing weight of, and then just to find out that you're out. Keep your head up your shoulder, buddy. Taylor Gray got plenty of career left, so coming back in 2026 and maybe get him a O'Reilly Auto Parts Series championship possibly in 26.
Yeah, we'll talk more about this in the open segment here a little bit later on, but I just want to say it is so incredibly ironic to me that people who defend the playoff system always make the point that, we don't want to be talking about who's points racing for 13th, right? We want to be talking about being a winner and you're into the next round and everything. And yet we have one driver that's so dominant that Connor Zilisch was already locked into the next round. And where's all the drama? It's about the guy who finished in 13th trying to points race. That's where Taylor Gray ended up. So a little bit of irony in that as well. But unfortunate for him, but his season comes to an end in terms of fighting for a championship. Again, of course, he will continue to be out on track for the next 4 race weekends, but championship's going to have to wait until 2026 for that young driver. Also, on one final note, just want to mention Austin Hill and see if I can find him on the results here. You see him all the way down there in 28th. He had a mechanical or engine issue of some sort in the closing laps, was dropping like a rock there at the end. I bet he wishes he hadn't done what he did to Eric Almirola at Indianapolis. Do you want to know how many points Austin Hill missed the round of 8 by? It was 21. How many playoff points did Austin Hill, because of a new rule where if you get suspended, you lose all your playoff points you've accumulated? How many playoff points did Austin Hill lose after he was suspended following Indianapolis? 21. Very fitting for car number 21 as well.
Wow.
And
all sorts of irony here today, Ben.
Everything comes full circle. And again, I hope that it is another reminder to Austin Hill. And thankfully, obviously he had the deal with Michael McDowell at Watkins Glen and controversy on the last lap at Daytona. He's been keeping it relatively clean, I think, the last couple of weeks from what I've seen at least. Again, not much he could have done on Saturday with the issue there at the end. But his season comes to an end here. It might not have come to an end. You can imagine, I don't know who would have had the tiebreaker on top of that. It would have added even more drama, I suppose, to the Taylor Gray, Sammy Smith drama and how close that cut line was. Or although maybe Austin races differently, knowing that he's got those points in his back pocket. We'll never know. But it is an unfortunate reality that those points, when you look on paper, end up costing him a chance at a championship.
It's been absolutely baffling. The 2025 season for Austin Hill is going to have to be a case study this offseason for some NASCAR YouTuber to go back and analyze. This could be a whole documentary length what went wrong for Austin Hill in 2025 and just the self-led brutality that he went through and on the off and on the track, just like what is going on, what went wrong, and all of the Watkins Glen and Indianapolis, and of course being docked there, the 21 points and what could have been. It's a big tale of 2025 for him.
Yeah, really been up and down. Just taking a look at his results here since the suspension at Iowa, came back, was 4th at Watkins Glen. Obviously, that doesn't tell the full story about what happened in that race, but then 25th at Daytona, had a shot. They're running up front at the end. Obviously, got caught up. You'd say he got caught up, caused the big one in some respects, and got caught up in his own mess. Then 5th at Portland, there was a little bit of controversy with how hard he was racing there in the closing laps as well. And then some mediocre runs, 12th at Gateway, 19th at Bristol, and then 3rd at Kansas. So actually, I guess it would have gone back to the second tiebreaker because Sammy Smith finished 3rd in this round. The second tiebreaker would have been the 4th place finish that Sammy had last week at Kansas. So I suppose maybe he would have been on the back end of that as well. But again, sometimes you race differently depending on the different situations you're in. We'll never know whether or not Austin Hill could have found a way to advance had he had those playoff points available to him. And then, who knows what might have happened if he could have gotten him a championship 4 at Phoenix as well. But it is an unfortunate reality for him.
But like a not hot take, I don't feel sorry for him. I can't say I feel sorry for him.
I can't say I disagree.
I mean, you put it on yourself.
Yeah. Yep. And I imagine a lot of the fan base feels similarly as well. And again, just want to make clear it's nothing personal. I've never met Austin Hill. I can't speak to what he's like.
Any driver, you do stupid things, you win stupid prizes.
That's the reality. Yep. And but I completely agree with you, Brenden. I know some people may have felt sorry for him seeing him drop all those spots there at the end of the race, but I can't say that I felt the same way, because this was a self-inflicted wound. He unfortunately had to deal with the consequences of it. And again, I can only hope that he's learned from it and is a little bit better next year in 2026, wherever he ends up. I do think he's got potential and talent to maybe be a Cup Series driver. Austin Dillon seems to find something once a year at Richmond, but RCR could use I think some improvement over there at that Cup program, and he's shown signs of speed and talent here in the Xfinity Series, but it's just for self-control that I wish he would try to better himself in and work on a little bit going forward. So we'll see if he is able to do just that in 2026 and beyond.
Oh, what's this? This just in: 2027 playoff race or playoff championship moving to Richmond. Oh, I guess they're going to enjoy that. Okay. Your daily dose of fake news right here.
Yeah. They've got to get to the championship. Hey, the format might be different. It might be different as early as next year. We're still keeping our eye on that, obviously.
It might be a 36 points point system.
Yeah. Or
36 race point system.
3-race final round with up to 6 drivers. I mean, we're hearing all sorts of crazy rumors going around here, but
Dale was fired up. He's like, so you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, I didn't even think there was a chance.
Yeah, exactly. That was really interesting to hear about on the download this week as well. But
more on that later.
Yeah, more on that in the open segment. I want to try to find a way to not be repetitive and beat a dead horse for you all, and hopefully we'll be able to do that a little bit later.
Surely in these last 5 episodes, we can avoid it, huh?
Hopefully. All right, let's move on now to the Truck Series. And again, man, I mean, stop me if you heard this right here before, but you know how rare a 10-win season is in NASCAR. In the Truck Series, it had never happened. Greg Biffle had 9. Corey Heim has now broken Greg Biffle's record. He has 10. Connor Zilisch has 10 now in the Xfinity Series. And again, there's the irony there about how Parker Kligerman contributed to one of them. For each of those drivers, Corey Heim obviously inheriting the Daytona win after Parker was disqualified, and then Parker getting in the car for Connor Zilisch at Daytona when they came back in the summer and winning that race in car number 88 on Connor's behalf. So they each have 10 wins, and they can thank Parker Kligerman for 10% of their wins, which is just another, again, irony about how everything comes full circle sometimes in this sport. But again, Brenden, it was not an easy road to get there for Corey. Obviously, he had the incident on the opening lap in the first corner. The former Tums Heartburn turn, I don't know what the sponsorship is for that turn off the top of my head now these days, but it was a very fitting name when Tums had that sponsorship. And it certainly came back to bite Corey Heim at the start of the race. Thought maybe that his race might be over, but he was able to drive back through the field. And Brent Cruz, you can't say enough about the job that he did. Maybe should have had the results reversed here. Brent appeared to be on his way to a win. And then, again, the irony of it being their teammate at Tricon Garage, Tony Breidinger, appeared to run out of fuel, stalled on the track. That necessitated a caution, and that re-racked the field from there. And it was ultimately Corey Heim that was able to come out on top of that. But again, Brenden, what was your reaction to seeing Corey now break the record that Greg Biffle set all those years ago in this series?
Just unsurprised. I mean, it's just remarkable as well. The 10 wins in one season and smashing an all-time greats record there in the Truck Series, and he's not done. I certainly think he's going for 11, nay, 12th. We'll see what happens here between now and Phoenix, but just a legendary talent here in the Truck Series. And I feel like it's fitting in this, now that we can say the final season of Grid Encore with you and I, that we just have a season of dominance from all facets of motorsport. It's just been the same for our shows here, Ben. We just had the ARCA dominance, which is not out of the ordinary, but Craftsman Truck Series dominance, Xfinity Series dominance, and for for the trucks, the name has been Corey Heim. It's been Heim time all hours of the day. And again, just another spectacular talent, especially on the road courses. You find that same common trait between him and Connor Zilisch. But he's very calm about it too. Corey Heim, just when he's asked about how do you feel about tying Greg Biffle's record, he's just, we expected to win. Getting a win is great. That's pretty cool. But they don't see it as like, I've done it. I've hit the summit. Like, no, they just want to keep winning races. They want to win every race if they can. That's all that's in their mind. That's all that's in their mentality. And we certainly think that Corey Heim is headed up at least to Cup immediately or to high level Xfinity or high level Nope ride next year. But that's still to be determined. I'm pretty sure we'll get that information here certainly within the next 2 months. I mean, silly season has to keep churning here as we keep going. But I'm very very curious to see A, how many more wins he can rack up before it's all said and done with the Craftsman Truck Series schedule, and B, where the heck he's going to end up in 26.
Yeah, and he has clinched his spot in the championship 4, by the way. Trucks will not be at Vegas this coming week. Their next race is Talladega and then Martinsville and then Phoenix, obviously. So this was the opening round of 8 race for that series. And so he is already as if it wasn't clear cut already, but he was going to be one of those drivers. And again, you want to talk about dominance, 3 of the last 4, actually 5 of the last 6. Now, when I look at it dating back to Watkins Glen, 6 of the last 8 is only 2 non-wins, a third at IRP and a third at Bristol. So very similar to the dominance that Connor Zilisch is showing. 8 consecutive top 3 finishes, top podium finishes for Corey Heim. And speaking of the podium, how about Tricon with Brent Cruz and Gio Ruggiero up there as well, sweeping the top 3 for that team. So great run for them. But again, what more can you say about the dominance that we're seeing in these 2 series right now? Corey Heim, again, I'm with you, Brenden. I certainly hope there is an Xfinity program out there, if not a Cup program, because, I mean, let's be honest, I think the dominance that he's showing, I wouldn't have a problem with him at all.
It would do him well.
Jump, yeah, straight from the Truck Series. I think he's shown that he's got the talent. And I wouldn't expect him to light the world on fire as a rookie right away, but he did finish very well in the Bristol race in that 6th car for 23 racing, 6th or 7th. I forget if it was a 6th place finish in his 7th start or 7th place finish in his 6th start. It was one of those two. There was some combination with the 6 and 7 for car number 67, and then because of the meme that's going around right now, everybody was freaking out about that. But a great run nonetheless. No matter how you look at it, he is certainly ready to make a step up, I believe.
And with his talent level, the same as Connor Zilisch, I feel like once they make their way to the Cup Series, I don't see them as like a John Hunter Nemechek sort of scenario where they're up there for a while and then they have to make their way back down and climb their way back up again. There's just something about these 2 that once in a generation, I feel like once they get up to where they're going, they're not going anywhere else. I really feel like they won't have to worry about that.
For sure. Yeah. All right. Do we have a comment here? Yes. Okay. Well, we'll give me 2 seconds here. Let me get the graphic up and go back full screen again. Then we'll display Toby's comment. I must be getting old because I have no idea what the 6-7.
I didn't hear what you said. I know it. I don't know. I know it has something to do with some guy saying 6 or 7 like this, and that's all I've seen it pop up everywhere, but I have no idea how it originated or how it took off. But all I know, it's hit some elementary school class lists, like words or phrases that will get you in trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hit those lists. So
it's certainly
yeah, it's on the same level as I don't even know the other ones. So I'm a fossil now. So
yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about this though, because again, I don't want to try to beat a dead horse too much here, but the debate has continued as it always does this time of year. And this is dominance that, to your point, Brenden, we have never seen, at least not in my lifetime, but I can remember in the modern era of this sport or in these series here. I think you have to go all the way back to Sam Ard in the early to mid 80s in the what's now the Xfinity series. Greg Biffle obviously set that record in the Truck Series, and people will point out he did not win the championship that year, but I think that when you look at his results relative to, I believe it was Jack Sprague in 99, if I remember off the top of my head, don't quote me on that 100%, but, goes back to Ryan Newman and Jimmy Johnson and that debate, for Rookie of the Year. And then the next year, Ryan Newman versus Matt Kenseth in the conversation for the championship, and Newman winning 8 races and Kenseth only winning 1, but Newman being so up and down and Kenseth being so consistent. I understand that having the most wins, I'm not saying I want the driver with the most wins to be the champion automatically. If I wanted that, I would want the medal system that F1 did introduce. People might forget this, but after Lewis Hamilton passed Timo Glock to win the 2008 championship, Felipe Massa won his home race in Brazil. Everybody thought he was going to be world champion for about 30 seconds, and then Hamilton took it from him at the last moment. And Bernie Ecclestone didn't like that. So what did he do? He said, we're instituting a medal system for 2009. Whoever has the most wins is just going to be the champion.
That worked well.
The backlash was so universal from guys like Lewis Hamilton, from other greats like Michael Schumacher, who said it's a shame to see what's happening to this great sport, that they dropped. I don't even know if it lasted a week. They dropped it within days of the announcement and kept the same point system for one more year. But then what did they do? They revised the point system for 2010. Instead of 10 wins or 10 points for a win and 8 points for second, now it was 25 points for a win and 18 points for second. So the gap from first to second in terms of how much a win means a little bit more in the new system than it did 2009 and before in Formula One racing. And that is, and listen, I like the Lafferty system. I think the Lafferty system did a pretty good job for the quarter century plus that it was around in determining the most deserving champion. But one of the areas where it was flawed was it did not award enough points, in my opinion, over second versus third versus fourth and so on and so forth for winning a race. And so I'm not saying I want the Lafferty system back. I'm just saying I want a 36 race system that is indicative of full season performance rather than what we might have this year. Because think about this, Brandon. Think about where the finale is for one more year. We're going to Phoenix. What happens if we get an overtime restart and Corey Heim lines up on the front row or Connor Zilisch lines up on the front row and they are 8 wide going through the dog leg into turn 1 and somebody gets turned, or they are 8 wide coming back around to get the white flag and then somebody spins in the back of the pack and it's a big accident and they have no choice but to throw a caution and freeze the field, and we get a situation like you mentioned it tonight, Brenden, Austin Hill and Jeb Burton, and it being razor close on video and trying to determine from what angle do you see, like that is I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that both of those drivers go out and dominate. And like I said last week, they win these races by 10 seconds each. And it's just as dominant as they've been all year.
NASCAR better hope it doesn't happen.
It leaves the possibility open that it could happen. And that's why I don't like this system. And I cannot believe that we are going to get to Phoenix in a few weeks, and we could very well put these seasons that we're having here on the line on a restart like that. And it could alter who goes down in the history books and who's remembered as the champion of these series for this year. And by the way, I've seen some people say this as well, and I'm not going to go this far to openly hope that it happens either, but I had a friend tell me today, I'm turning full heel. I hope they both lose these championships because that's the only thing that's going to wake NASCAR up.
That's what I'm saying, Ben. That's what I said last year too.
I'll tell you this. I don't wish it on them at all, but if that happens, I hope that it happens in the stupidest way imaginable.
Yeah, it's got to be a disgrace. I mean, it's got to be just
now. Yeah, because if they listen, if they finish second, if it's like they're 3 or 4 car lengths short, they finish second to, I don't know. I'm just Grant Enfinger and Sammy Smith, right? I'll just pick a couple of names off there. Or let me just make sure they're still in. I know Sammy is obviously, yes, Grant Enfinger's the 7th seed right now with Chandler Smith and Jake Garcia that have been eliminated. So those 2 drivers could still, in theory, walk away with championships this year. Mm-hmm. Nothing against those 2. I think we can all look objectively at the seasons they've had and said, yeah, they have not been as impressive as, even close to as impressive as Corey Heim and Connor Zilisch have been. But if they beat them in that one race at Phoenix and those guys come across the line in second, it leaves the door open for the argument to be, well, They just didn't maximize their opportunity when it mattered the most. When the lights were the brightest, they came up short. And that's what happened to the 2007 Patriots in that Super Bowl against the New York Giants. And that is totally an apples to apples comparison, isn't it, Brenden?
Not quite. I really don't think it is. But I agree with you there. And I think I said it last year too. Don't quote me, but I believe before the last championships, we also brought the same thing. The best thing if you're an advocate for a 36 race point system, the best thing that could happen is NASCAR be embarrassed the most in the sports world by their champions. And if you had a case where it's just the silliest of circumstances, where Connor Zilisch, Corey Heim, and who's the champion elect of the Cup Series right now?
It's not as clear. I guess maybe
it's really not. No.
Yeah, I guess Denny might have the most wins.
It's got
is up there now too as well. Obviously, he's
right. But
yeah.
Other than that, it's got to be 2020 Kevin Harvick not winning the championship on steroids. It's got to be just the dumbest 8 wide double overtime deluxe Krabby Patty. You stack all the things on it and make it where any remote sports fan at all, whether you're a motorsports fan or you like field hockey only, in the Ivy League, I don't know. And you got to be able to look at that face value and say, yeah, that is bogus. That is silly. That's not a sport. That is the most contrived piece of nonsense I've ever seen. How can you call them a champion? It's got to be that level of chaos. And Phoenix can provide us that. That dog leg, I'm going to put on my fake spectacles here. 8 wide overtime restart could certainly not out of the question. We've seen it before, and I think 2 years ago I was just so upset about it in the chat with you and everybody else about the Craftsman Truck Series championship and how awful that was. Just having to, it got to the point where you wanted to just turn it off. Forget it. What are we doing? What are we even doing here? And then the fact that the suits that be can come back days later and say we like what we're seeing, or this is justified, or this is exactly what this is designed to do. No, you're blowing smoke. No, it's not. And it's just a wash and repeat cycle. But you've got, again, final point, you've got to have something so catastrophic happen. And I mean this with all love. You got to have something so catastrophic happen that they have to wake up and say, look, we are being embarrassed. We're making complete fools of ourselves to keep it this way.
All right. I was not going to do this, but just put this quick graphic together because the conversation came up again this week, like I was saying, like it always does. John from Beyond tweeting this to me in conversation when I said sometimes a champion is so obvious that the system shouldn't matter. We should know who goes down in history as the best driver over that season. And he says sometimes the champion is obvious until they lose. One big loss. First of all, can I just say, how did you not come up with the headline "one giant loss" there? I mean, it's sitting right there, right?
right. Yeah.
Who didn't? There was no copy editor or proofreader that looked at that and said, you know what would really be a great headline after this Super Bowl? One giant loss. Nobody thought of that.
Come on, Ben. It's not the New York Times. We're not expecting a miracle here. I mean, what is it? Proto Sports? Who is that? I don't know. Projo Sports. I've never heard of them. No offense to Projo Sports, but never heard of them.
This is the argument. This is the absolute, with all due respect, if you've had a conversation with me before, this is the argument that grinds my gears the most. And I quoted this and said, listen, I'm done with the 2007 Patriots argument
which was a great Super Bowl, by the way. Enjoyed that.
Folks up here maybe didn't as much, but it was great for the people in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and New York City for sure. Certainly better than what they're getting right now in New York with their football teams. But that's beside the point. The point that I want to make here is you want to make that comparison. And I said it on Twitter this week. It's not apples and oranges even, because at least those are both fruits. This is apples and chocolate chip Pop-Tarts. Okay, these are so radically different. Those things are both foods these things are both sports. That is where the similarities end, because the Super Bowl features only 2 teams on the field at once. You don't have somebody from the Cleveland Browns or the New York Jets or the Philadelphia Eagles or the Arizona Cardinals or the Carolina Panthers, or fill in your favorite sports team here. You're not going to have one of them come out and sack Tom Brady and completely alter the outcome of the game. Or you're not going to have Eli Manning's not going to throw a pass to, I don't know, Terrell Owens, and that's going to be what wins the New York Giants the game, or what. Like it's just such a nonsensical comparison to make, because there are only,
it's lazy for one thing,
on the field at once. It is lazy. And that's the comparison here, because in NASCAR, you have everybody competing on the same track at once. And I'll say it again. This is what would have to happen. If they just finish second, you're going to be able to say, well, they choked when the lights were the brightest. What happens if we get a Tim Schendel, Kyle Busch situation? Tim Schendel blows a tire or whatever, he starts slowing, and Kyle Busch runs into the back of him. Or what happened similarly with David Starr and Noah Gragson at Homestead a few years back. What if that happens to Connor Zilisch on Saturday night at Phoenix, or Saturday evening? What if Corey Heim loses an engine? What if he blows a motor through no fault of his own?
His team didn't put the engine together when the lights were the brightest.
I guess.
Too bad, so sad.
That's not that. I don't think that should cost you a championship.
No, your season as a whole.
Racing is a chaotic sport. I get that, but man, I feel like the tide is turning, and I was very encouraged. And I got to give him credit where it's due. He and I have not agreed on much over the years. I've taken some issue with some of the things he said, but I got to give Pete Pistone a lot of credit, because I did catch a little bit of the morning drive last week, and they were talking about the season the Butterbean Queen has had, and saying, well, there's not going to be a ton of drama for the championship, but this is the ongoing debate of which one would you rather have. And this is what Pete said, that I had to go back and replay it to make sure I heard it right. Pete said, I can make an argument for and against both sides. Now, like I said in my commentary on my channel this past week, I'm under no illusion that we fully won Pete Pistone over, and he's now going to join Mark Martin on the crusade for arguing for a full season championship format, 36 races. But I can understand arguments for both sides over, well, guys, you got to move on. You really got to get to some sort of group to help you accept the fact that it's not going anywhere, nor should it. That is huge. That's a massive shift, if you ask me. And I think he's far from the only one that started to feel similarly. Brenden, you brought up a Dale Jr. download. He said there was one person in that committee meeting room or whatever at the start of a season that was arguing 36. Like, some people said we need tweaks. Some people were probably arguing for the 10-race chase. I know AJ Allmendinger was on Door Bumper Clear and was reminiscing about how he had a really good run at Homestead in 2011 and got a front row seat to watch Tony and Carl fight for the championship. And I understand that. And listen, man, I used to say I would compromise and take that over what we have now. But I think what we've seen and what we saw in the Cup race, particularly yesterday evening, it's just gotten to a point where I feel like I am more and more of the opinion that it's all 36 or bust.
Yeah.
Because I just cannot look at the seasons that Connor Zilisch and Corey Heim and Butterbean Queen in ARCA have had. And of course, Butterbean has the benefit of a full season championship. So all he had to do was, I kept saying he had to take the green flag. He didn't even have to do that. He just had to take a lap in practice to get the 50-point bonus. And then he was set. And a much deserved championship for him. I must say, very glad that ARCA has not adopted a similar system. But man, if you thought it was bad when Joey Logano, who again still championship eligible,
he's still tracking. He's tracking. Yeah,
it could happen.
No penalties coming out.
Man, if you thought it was bad last year when he won the championship with an average finish of 17.1 in the Cup Series, I mean, I am prepared for Twitter to burn to the ground if Corey Heim does not, or Connor Zilisch, if either one of them.
And good, they should.
And I said earlier this week they've got a 25% chance. I know it's more than a 25% chance. All right, I know how. I didn't major in statistics, but I know that they're going to be in championship 4, and they'll have a slightly better than 25% chance, 25% odds going in with how they've been running this year. But man, this sport is unpredictable sometimes. You just never know. something stupid might happen that ruins your day if it's out of your control. And that's why, again, I think there's a growing consensus. Apologies if you can hear that. My coworker scanner's going off for some reason like it usually does. But, man, there's a growing consensus that it cannot be one race. Whatever we do next year, and again, I will continue to say that I am now fully more and more in support of 36 or bust, but it cannot just come down to one race. And I think that consensus is becoming more and more clear as we draw closer to this season and see more of the shenanigans unfolding in these playoffs.
It's really remarkable how much the rhetoric has changed in just a 12-month span. And I believe one of those voices that Dale Jr. was talking about was Jeff Gluck. I believe that was one of the ones that had kind of their opinion had swayed from one focus group or whatever they call it, the circle, whatever, from the beginning of the
is the term that they're
but beginning of the year till now.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Well, man, I don't know. Again, because we're later in the season, we don't have as much of the open wheel stuff to cover. Should we talk about the Cup race? I feel like there's certainly some thoughts that we could get into here.
Yeah, sure.
Man, it was again. I feel like I'll continue to say I think the Roval was a temporary solution. We had contracts locked in on multi-year deals with these tracks. Fans wanted more road courses, and so we said the next best thing we could do is give you an infield road course at one of our ovals that has 2 dates, and Charlotte was, I think, the perfect solution because I've been saying all along, look, I don't like the playoffs at all, but if you're going to do it, I think you need to have as diverse of a schedule as possible. It can't just be 50% mile and a halves. Jimmy Johnson mastered that and he won 5 straight championships because of it. So, there should be a road course in the playoffs was my opinion. And I welcome the Charlotte ROVAL. And I think we got some memorable moments the first couple of years. I don't think what Jimmy Johnson did in 2018 was nearly as egregious as what Ross Chastain did yesterday. I think Chase Elliott had a moment similar to Corey Heim in the truck race this weekend where he stuffed it into turn 1. They brought his car down. They repaired it. He drove back through the field and he won the race. So it's not like the Roval hasn't created memorable moments. The Xfinity race in 2020, the downpour and borderline monsoon that we had there.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know if we will ever see something like that again for safety reasons in this sport, but it was
IMSA also had a race there in 2020 that was also a sludge fest.
Yeah. Yeah. I think AJ actually worked the booth for NBC that night. He had to get out of his car and trade his fire suit for a TV suit there. I think they were referencing that on the broadcast, if I recall correctly, because I know he did some TV stuff with NBC when he was part-time. But yeah, man, I mean, it just, again, and I'm trying to set personal biases aside here in terms of, how the championships have played out over the last several years, but I don't fault Joey Logano for defending the system. I really don't. If I won 3 championships under a format, I'd probably defend it to the death as well. That's not surprising to me. It's not, I don't fault Joey for that. In that
and
sense.
For you to say that, that's character growth too, because I think at this point last year we were fuming, but that's good character growth.
Until he wins Vegas this weekend, and then we'll see, man. But I couldn't help but laugh when he said, and I don't want to quote him exactly here, it's not going to be verbatim, but something about the 22 team putting a championship performance in today. I mean, my guy, you finished 20th. Like you were borderline getting into the round of 8. Like and again, this is what I'm talking about, the irony of this system. Like you want to emphasize winning. You want to get away from, we had a good points day. And what are we doing? We saw SVG take the checkered flag by 15 to 20 seconds again, whatever it was. And they immediately pan away from him, and they're focused on, they got Logano in one box, and they got Chastain and Hamlin in one box. And then you hear after the race that Denny Hamlin openly admitted that, I'd rather have Ross Chastain in the round of 8 than Joey Logano. Guys, why didn't you tell me? I wouldn't have passed him. I'm going to let you think about that for just a second.
Strategery.
Professional race car driver comes out and says, guys, I wouldn't have passed him. What does that say about the system that we have now? What does that say about the 100% rule? What does that say about the race manipulation controversies that we had coming up in Martinsville last year? And by the way, I don't want to quote them verbatim because I've got to go back and listen to the scanners, but I think some shenanigans might have been going on Cole Custer's radio. Like, hey, that's not even a teammate. That's a manufacturer teammate. Haas factory to Team Penske, but a manufacturer deal nonetheless. Take care of your tires, which I think is code for make sure you don't pass 22, don't cost the 22 points. Alex Bowman sounded like he was getting similar messages. Chevy to Chevy, Hendrick to Trackhouse. Don't pass, manage your tires. Don't pass Ross Chastain. I mean, man, it's clear as day, I feel like. You are not giving 100%. The manufacturers, and that's not even, I don't want to entirely blame the playoff system for that because part of that's on the manufacturers to not interfere and get in the way of individual teams doing their jobs here. But even it doesn't even have to be manufacturers. Like you, and I can't even blame Denny. I'd rather have eliminated Joey Logano than Ross Chastain. I'll admit that. But to openly admit, like, I would not have passed him. I mean, if your system includes a side effect that results in race manipulation to this degree, then I'm sorry, I just can't get behind it. I mean, it's one of many reasons why I can't get behind it. But again, I respect the opinions of people that enjoyed the chaos of what we saw in the last lap yesterday. If that's your thing, then that's great. But it's just not for me. And I don't believe the ratings are out yet. I think the ratings usually come out Tuesday or Wednesday. But man, the ratings show it. The way the ratings have been tracking this year, man. And I know people are going to say it's on USA. I'm sorry, USA was in more cable households than NBCSN was. Like, I don't think that's it. I'm not saying that. Of course, the ratings would be bigger if they were on Big NBC. And by the way, Big NBC, were they airing like reruns and paid programming? I think local programming yesterday. I know Matthew Owens had a tweet about that. But like, just for inquiring minds, if they want to know, this is what was on NBC. It wasn't like it's not like NBC had the Ryder Cup again this week or some big. They have Sunday night football, but
that's at night.
The race was over in plenty of time.
Right.
It's a great lead out.
Yeah.
Why
wasn't it there?
I don't know. I mean, I know NASCAR has followed the money over what they think will, or what I at least think. I'll only speak for myself here. Will bring in the highest ratings. But even if they were on NBC, the ratings have historically, they've been going down. Like, of course, you look at the Daytona 500, it's the same story. But more people watch, despite how abysmal Fox's coverage can be at times. More people watch the Fox portions of the season than they do in NASCAR playoffs when NBC has them. And you would think if the playoffs were working, to borrow a phrase from Steve Phelps, if the playoffs as designed worked incredibly well, you would think the playoffs would be more lucrative to the TV partners and they draw the bigger ratings and NBC would be at an advantage over Fox because of the current TV deal. That's not what the ratings reflect. So again, if you're part of the 1.5 million or so that are still sticking around and you like this, then that's fine. Respect your opinion. But you can take a current poll of current NASCAR fans to see what the poll says. I think a lot of people missing from that poll that aren't participating in that poll are people that are on the side of we want 36 or we at least want how the original chase used to be, that have seen the insanity of that system and they've left. They've said, okay, I'm done. I can't take it anymore. And they're not watching the races and they're not participating in those polls. So again, I think you see it in the ratings. They reflect that as well.
Yeah, I just want to quote GP Laps off X. Jake says, sure is fun watching someone struggle to finish 20th for a chance at a championship.
Yes. Well, and I almost retweeted that. I didn't want to complain. And I know, like, I used to have it in my bio. There's not enough space in my bio anymore with everything that I do. But retweets are not necessarily endorsements. But there is a part of me, I have to admit, that doesn't love putting championship in air quotes because the system is the same for everybody. And again, I will say more power to Joey Logano for knowing how to maximize the system to his advantage. But on that note, I'll just go on record and say this as well. I feel like I'm tempting fate here in a sense, but if Joey does somehow win Las Vegas, or I mean Talladega's in this round. He's won Talladega before. He's a good super speedway racer. If Joey Logano wins the championship again this year, I don't want to completely disrespect him because he's a master of maximizing this system to his advantage. but I don't even think it's debatable. He has to be the weakest 4-time champion in Cup Series history, right? I mean, who else do you have? You got Jeff Gordon, and then your 3 7-time champions. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head.
It's
I think
paper thin. It's 4 championships, but they're paper thin.
Yeah, David Pearson had 3. Cale Yarborough had 3. If I'm forgetting somebody, please let me know. But I think it's Jeff Gordon, and then your 3 7-times. I mean, Joey Logano would be in that category. And again, I don't want to completely discredit what he's done. He's won plenty of races. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. He's a great driver.
Sure.
But I think if you ask most people to rank drivers in NASCAR history, those 4 champions, Jeff Gordon and Petty, Earnhardt, and Johnson, yeah, I mean, you got to maybe find some room for Pearson in there. Maybe some people make the case for Allison or Yarborough or somebody else. But I don't think you put Joey Logano in that same category. He's up there. He's had a better career than the overwhelming majority of drivers in this sports history, in the history of NASCAR Cup Series racing. But I mean, man, if he joins that 4-time champions club, then it is going to look a little bit out of place, I think. And that's unfortunately just, I think, a byproduct of how fans have looked at this system. And I'm not going to say he's an illegitimate champion because the rules are the same for everybody. But you can't 17.1 average finish your way to a championship in a full season format. I don't think that's possible.
Bottom line, the irony lies in folks that say this is better than watching good points days when, in fact, all the focus and attention is on guys having good points days.
Yeah,
and not on the winner.
SVG stopped the field again. That should be the story. Like this is the greatest. He's already the greatest road course ringer. I mean, I don't even want to use the word ringer because he is full time and he is getting better on the ovals. I want to give credit where it's due there.
Yeah,
but
he's going to surpass that all-time road course victory list, and he's going to dominate that till the end of his career.
Yeah, and it is statistically, when you look at the number of wins he's had, it is statistically one of the best rookie seasons in NASCAR history as well. That should be, and then again, Joey gets out of his car, and then it's like, we got all these storylines and talking about me and Ross and everything, and what would you guys be talking about? You want to be talking about how Ross Chastain whipped our rear ends yet again? Is that what you want? And I quoted and said, like, that is what I want. Be like Morgan Wallen and Tate McRae there. That's what I want, right? Like, I want to be talking about SVG dominating the field yet again and how impressive his performance was. I feel like the winner should always get the majority of the spotlight. Again, in a format where you emphasize winning above all else, you don't want to be talking about, I had a good points day. We got a solid top 20 finish. And yet, that's exactly what we're doing here with Joey Logano. And that's why, I mean, he barely squeaks into the round of 8, and we'll see what happens over the next 3 weeks. But that's just it. I don't think that irony hit me as much as it did until this weekend. That, like, the reason we did this was because we wanted to stop talking about having a good points day.
Here we are.
Guys running in 15th or 20th place. And what did we do all day Saturday and Sunday? Where was all the focus? Where were all the cameras on the last lap? And by the way, shame on NBC for not showing what happened to AJ Allmendinger until 3 minutes after USA went off the air, because AJ did the exact same thing that Ross and Denny did. He got spun out in the final chicane and crossed the finish line backwards and still came home, I think, with a 9th place finish. We don't have a graphic for the Cup results here on our show tonight, but I think he still finished in 9th. That should not have taken, I mean, you should have had a camera on that as they were finishing the race, to be quite honest. Lee Diffie saw it from the booth.
Glad he mentioned it.
Until 3 minutes. I mean, those of us that have Twitter saw it when Colleague posted the in-car. And I guess those that were streaming on Max might have seen it if they happen to be on AJ's in-car. But again, he's not in the
AJ
playoffs.
Finished 9th. Yeah.
It's not, he finished 9th. He's not in the playoffs. It's not a storyline that matters to TV. And I think that's a real shame and all that. And I'm going to save this for my shining moment again as well here. But did you hear Austin Green's name come up post-race very much? I mean, second place finish in the Xfinity race, that's an unbelievable result for him and that team. Spoiler for my one shining moment. I was going to save the shining moment, but since it came up here, you lose storylines like that when you're just sitting around waiting for 10 minutes to see who's in and who's out, and nobody matters aside from the playoff drivers. It's just, again, it's an incredibly frustrating deal, and I can only hope that the playoff committee is starting to come around and realizes that, and whatever we get next year, it's at least a step up and improvement from what we have this year and have had for the last, 12 years now in Cup, 9 and trucks in Xfinity.
Playoff system, even the chase, infinitely more flawed than the 2003 Winston Cup Series point system.
Well, and again,
it had its flaws too.
It did, yeah.
There's a place to meet in the middle on this.
I'll end it with this because I know again, and I'm, by the way, I'm looking forward, and Kenny Wallace did, I think, retweet one of my tweets that was blowing up. I don't know if he and I haven't interacted very much here. I appreciate that my tweets made it that far. And I respect Kenny Wallace. I think sometimes his opinions are a little bit out there. I don't agree with him on everything, to say the least, but
he's just living life, man.
I know he is. And so is Mark Martin, and they are on very different sides of this conversation. It sounds like they're going to sit down and have a conversation soon. I saw Kenny was on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour podcast this week as well. That's what we need more of. We need people to talk about this in a respectful manner and hear each other out. And you certainly don't get enough of that on social media these days. But Kenny brought up the point, the driver that wins the most races doesn't always win a championship. And I think back to, again, the first year I watched this sport full time was 2007. And Jimmy Johnson won 10 races that year. He went on an absolute tear in the last winning, not four of the last five, you could say. It was 4 in a row before Homestead. And Jeff Gordon had won the 2 previous to that at Talladega and Charlotte. Had a great season, 30 top 10s. Again, I know our friend Luis Torres, Brenden, who you mentioned at the start of the show, he constantly keeps track of that chasing 30 every season. And we get halfway through the year, it's like in July or August. And the last driver that can theoretically do that is already eliminated. They finished outside the top 10 more than 6 times. Jeff was just so remarkably consistent that year. He did only have 6 wins to Jimmy's 10. But even as a kid, there was just something so confusing to me. Like, even as an 8-year-old, like, what do you mean his 300-plus point advantage just got erased just because we got to the final 10 races here? And now, I think he was actually 20 points in the hole after that because Jimmy might have had 6 wins at a time. I think Jeff got to 6 in the chase, and then Jimmy won 4 more after that. But look, I'm not saying, again, to put a bow on it where we started, I'm not saying that the driver that has the most wins should always be the champion. But when you have 17 straight top 5s, when you only have 4 finishes worse than 8th all year, which is what Corey Heim has, and Corey Heim, he's got 10 wins. He could easily have 15 as far as I'm concerned with how well he's been running this year. Sometimes it is just so obvious and it goes beyond wins. It's top 5s, it's top 10s. And I just, again, cannot believe that we're going to get to Phoenix and potentially roll the dice on these seasons on an overtime restart, because that's what we do. So we'll leave it there. And again, I hope that we can find different angles to talk about this, because I'm sure the conversation is going to come up again. Maybe not. Hopefully it's not too chaotic next week at Vegas. It's just a standard 1.5 miles. But then we got a super speedway at Talladega. Who knows what's going to happen there? And then if Martinsville the last couple of years has been any indication, I expect all hell to break loose in at least one of the 3 series when we get to that track in a few weeks' time. But we'll keep our eye on that. And, of course, more coverage here as we put a bookend on the Encore show for 2025 and for the show's history here as we wrap up the season. Again, if you missed the start of the show, go back and check that out after we finish the stream here. This is going to be the last season for the Encore show, and we're hoping to go out with a bang here with these final 5 or 6 programs. I hope you'll stick with me and Brenden as we continue to talk about this great sport. And despite all of our problems with some of the things that happen in it at times, that we are all still racing fans at heart, and we're going to continue to cover this sport that we know and love. Just might be in a little bit different style or format going forward here. But we'll keep our eye on that as the season comes to a close here. One piece of breaking news. Thank you, Kobe, for putting this in the chat here. This is big, actually. We'll get into this here before we get into ARCA. J.J. Yaley to drive a Spire Motorsports Chevrolet Silverado in the Truck Series race at Talladega. Brenden, what's your reaction to that?
J.J. Yaley, your classic journeyman driver, and see him at super speedways from time to time. Daytona 500, trying to make his way into the field. Just a classic guy, and he's got a good shot there with the Spire Motorsports truck. So we'll see what he can do.
And that was Kyle Busch's one win this year, was at Atlanta in that equipment. I don't know. I mean, Kobe did. I can I guess I can check it quickly here. I don't know what truck number that's going to be for JJ, but man, you said it, Brandon. I mean, this guy is the journeyman driver, I would say.
Yeah,
and he's bounced around quite a bit. He's been a regular feature on Brock Beard's lastcar.info over the years. He's taken start and park rides, and I think moved up to Cup way too quickly. Don't think he really got a fair shot after he was released, ironically, for Kyle Busch on that number 18 car.
You get the big Joe Gibbs ride from day one. Yeah.
Yeah, looks like it might be the 7 truck, which is I mean that is a race winning opportunity. I mean, and I believe JJ holds the record for most top 3 starts without a win in any of them. In any series. I think he finished second at the Coke 600 to Casey Mears in 2007. I believe he had a runner-up during his time with Gibbs in the Xfinity Series as well. But, man, what a story that would be, huh?
If that'd be great.
It would be great. It's funny. So I'm and Kobe confirms it there. It is the number 7 Chevrolet. So thank you for that, Kobe. If you want another Patriots reference here, if you ever watched Undisputed, Skip Bayless would always say, there is one man in sports you do not bet against, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. JJ's real name is Christopher Beltram Hernandez Yaley. He goes by the nickname JJ because I think it's his father and a close family friend. His names were Jimmy and Jack. And he got the nickname JJ because of that, and he's gone by JJ Yaley ever since. So
interesting.
I have so badly wanted to pull out my Skip Bayless impression and say, there's one man in sports you do not bet against, Christopher Beltram Hernandez, JJ Yaley. And I was so close to being able to do that after the dual race a couple of years ago when he was driving the NY racing car. I think that was 2024, if I remember correctly. Very nearly put that in the field over Jimmy Johnson in the 84 for Legacy. So, man, I mean, he has not gotten the top tier equipment and top opportunities that other drivers have had over the last couple of decades here. I know he's kind of in the twilight of his career, the ultimate journeyman, as you mentioned, Brandon, but this, if you ask me, this is a potential race winning combination here. I don't want to, promise anything. Obviously Talladega is the most unpredictable track we go to in many respects, but reminds me of Brett Moffitt getting back in the Front Row Motorsports when they brought out the second number 34 truck a couple of years ago and him winning that race. One-offs sometimes we're able to pull these kinds of things off. Greg Biffle did it driving for Kyle Busch when he came back to Texas in 2019. So, man, you work the draft right. You just never know how these things might play out. And I have to agree with Adam here. JJ can win Talladega, and also agree with that. Corey Heim should win Truck Series title. I think that's almost a universal opinion here at this point with how he's been running this year. But certainly bookmark that. That is definitely worth keeping your eye on when it comes time for the truck race at Talladega in a couple of weeks. All right, and finally tonight, let's put a bow on the ARCA Menards Series season for 2025. And again, Brandon, you said it, obviously, during Xfinity and Trucks, kind of been the story of the year, the same drivers up front. Another 18-28 Joe Gibbs Pinnacle Racing Group 1-2 finish here. It's Max Reaves winning the race. Brenden Queen, again, as soon as he started practice, it was official. He is your 2025 champion. A bit of an interesting battle for the win, though. Brenden Queen was able to catch Max Reaves in the closing laps. I forget off the top of my head what lap it was. It wasn't like he was with 2 to go or anything, but it was in the final stages of the race. Was able to pass him, worked to get around him for a few laps, and then Max put the bumper to Brenden Butterbean and moved him up the track. And Butterbean made sure he knew that in his post-race interview. He said, that Max certainly put the bumper to him and wasn't 100% clean with that move there. And to Max's credit, he did reference that in his interview as well and said he apologized for that move. But maybe not the cleanest final victory for Max Reaves on the season, but continuing the trend of dominance for that car and that team in this series. And we'll see what his plans for 2026 include. I would assume he's going to be in that car full-time next year once he turns 16 this offseason. But even as a 15-year-old with multiple ARCA wins under his belt, I have to imagine it was a pretty successful debut year for Max Reaves and obviously for Brenden Queen as well. And again, of course, some heavy talk about what his future might be, and if it involves one of the colleague racing trucks, it's going to be starting with that Ram program next year. We'll wait for official word on that, obviously, but that's what the indications are pointing towards. So looking forward to Butterbean doing some great things in 2026 as well. So, Brandon, if you have any thoughts on ARCA, feel free to give them now. Otherwise, we will go into our one shining moment here, I think.
All good from there.
All good. Adam's saying, can Butterbean win the ARCA title in 2026? I think we expect him to move up. If he does come back to ARCA, I would say absolutely, considering that's what he just did here. But I would hope that he's able to get an opportunity. Again, all signs point. And you saw it with the Xfinity deal. I would imagine that it's one of the worst kept secrets in the garage right now. Again, I don't want to confirm anything until we get the official word, but that's what I think signs are pointing towards at this point. So if that happens, obviously, he won't be full-time in ARCA, and I would, again, imagine that, well, I guess Max won't be – he'll probably run for the ARCA East title next year, now that I think about it. He won't be eligible at every ARCA track until he turns 18, but we'll see if anybody slides into that 28 car, what that looks like next year. The end of an era as well for Venturini Motorsports. We should mention this as well before we move on here. Their final race, obviously before Nitro takes over that program next year, and Big Bill will still be involved a little bit during the transition period. I think Billy Venturini as well, staying on for at least a year or two to make sure that the transition is as smooth as possible, and then that's going to be it. So the end of an era for that storied name and team in the ARCA Menards Series as well. All right, well, with that, Brandon, I'll let you go first again. As always, what was the one thing that stood out to you from this weekend in the world of motorsports?
Well, besides Ross Chastain going backwards across the finish line and picking up some toe mater techniques, I have to go. I really don't have much else to say about the weekend other than congratulations to Connor Zilisch and to Corey Heim for passing that 10-win mark. I mean, both of them just absolutely incredible level of dominance that I don't think you'll see next year. I don't know if that can be done again in that same way. It's just, or maybe it can, but it's just been an incredible year, and it's not even done for both of them. I know there's got to be at least one more win in the pocket for both of them, and should be a championship, but you never know how that plays out, and we've been talking about that for an hour. So.
Yeah, you just never know what's going to happen. Again, we can certainly hope that for the well-being of the sport and the integrity of the sport in a lot of people's minds that it ends up going that way for each of them. But certainly worthy of a shine. The entire season is a shining moment for each of them. Anytime you cross double digits, just absolutely phenomenal. And for Corey in particular, to do it in a series where you only have 25 races. I mean, it's one thing to do that like Kyle Larson did a few years ago when you have 36, or what Connor Zilisch is doing when you've got anywhere from 33 to 35, whatever the Xfinity Series has been at the last couple of years. But to only have 25 races to do it and to get to 10 wins, there's a reason why nobody's done it before. And Corey's season has been absolutely spectacular nonetheless. Again, I hinted at it towards the end of our playoff conversation, but even though it didn't get the attention that I think it warranted from everybody on television, Austin Green, man, I want to see this guy full time next year. Every time he gets in that 32 car for Jordan Anderson Racing on a road course, he has been wildly impressive here. Just trying to pull up his stats to make sure I get all of this right. But I think back to last year when he was in that car at Sonoma and he finished fourth. How spectacular that was, and he won an ARCA race as well this year for Pinnacle in that 82 car, Charlotte on the oval. So he's had a very successful year himself. So again, just want to tip my cap to him. And here we go. 7th at Mexico City, 9th at Chicago, 7th at the Glen, 8th at Portland, 11th at Sonoma. That's the lone blemish, non-top 10 on his resume. Actually, I take that back. 26th at Coda. So that was that one didn't go so well for him. But aside from that, in or around the top 10 on all the road courses this year, and then second at the Charlotte ROVAL. Job well done for Austin Green. That is my one shining moment for this evening's show. All right. And we'll pull the graphic off for you all. And that's going to do it for another episode of the Encore show here tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. And be sure to follow us at Grid Network TV on all of our social media platforms, X/Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, LinkedIn. Most importantly, subscribe to us right here on YouTube and visit our website, gridnetworktv.com. I want to bring up for a second time here, thank you to our newest patron in our Patreon, Crystal, for joining us this weekend. And if you liked what you saw tonight, you want to join Crystal as well as Colin, Deshelle, Mark, Robin, David, and Matthew in our Patreon. There's a link to that in the description box below. Our long-term goals of continuing to help build this motorsports media outlet up are not going to change just because I may be stepping away from a full-time role at this team. I want this team to continue to build what they're trying to build and what we've tried to build on their behalf as well through this show. And the best way to help us do that is to contribute to our Patreon or even tip us one time through Buy Me a Coffee or Super Chat. If you'd rather just give us a one-time donation, you can visit the link to that in the description box below as well. Or obviously, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the Super Chat or Super Thanks button if you're watching the stream after the fact as well. Taking a look at our upcoming schedule, we've got Grid Tonight coming on Wednesday with Kobe Lambeth, Matt White, and Joshua Birch as always, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And hopefully Women in Motorsports will be back in the not-too-distant future, if not this week, next as well. We had F1 Academy back at Singapore. Want to give my congratulations to Leah Block, now an F1 Academy race winner in her Williams livery for representing the United States over there. So well done to her getting the win in race 1 in the reverse grid race. More on that on the next episode of Women in Motorsports, and then Grid Live to follow this weekend as always. And we will see you on, what is it now, a 166 3/4 hour break, if I'm not mistaken, doing the quick math in my head here on the Encore show. Brenden, any final thoughts before we sign off for the evening?
Couple of things. Go Brew Crew tonight versus the Cubs as they start that series. And then also, got to say, for the Tennessee Titans, finally getting their 22-21 victory, or whatever it was, over the Arizona Cardinals. They had somehow managed to tie their longest losing streak, which was 10. And so if they were to lose yesterday's game, they would be on the longest losing streak of their franchise history. Thankfully, they didn't do that, and it came in the doinkiest of ways, getting a touchdown off of a fumble. And but the number 1 draft pick, Cameron Ward, showing why he is there, and along with Big Jeffrey Simmons, they were able to get it done somehow. You still cannot get me to watch an entire Titans game this year until something better happens. I know we're still in the hole, I know, but it was, as Kevin Malone said in The Office, it's just nice to get one. It's just nice to get one sometimes. So, way to go, I guess, for beating Arizona and not being the worst team in the league anymore. Well, you still are. But yeah, Las Vegas coming up. And the reason I said all that is because the Titans are playing the Raiders this weekend. So the Tennessee Titans and NASCAR will be in the same venue this coming weekend.
I thought you were a Braves fan.
I am a Braves fan. I am a Braves fan.
Okay.
I can't watch the Braves.
Well, that's fair, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I can watch the Braves. I just don't want to spend more money to watch the Braves. So I work with the Nashville Sounds, and our parent company is the Milwaukee Brewers. So I can wear this hat to work. That was my reasoning behind it. And also, a lot of our Nashville Sounds have gone up to play for Milwaukee. So,
all right. Well, man, it's the top of the 8th in the NLDS Dodgers-Phillies game, and the Dodgers put a 4 spot on us in the 7th, it looks like. So it's not looking good for the Phils. They're going to have to go. It looks like they're going to have to, unless they have a miracle comeback in them here, they're going to drop the first 2 at Citizens Bank Park, which I thought this was the best statistical home field advantage in the history of Major League Baseball. You were saying that at the end of 2023. You're 1-4, about to be 1-5 in your last 6 games at Citizens Bank Park. The fans are bringing it, the players seemingly not. So what's up with that? I don't get that. But I guess we sacrificed the Phillies. We sacrificed the Eagles. They lost their first game of the year yesterday for the Philadelphia Union Supporters Shield winners for the second time in the last 6 years. And Brenden, actually, your Nashville SC team did pretty well in the U.S. Open Cup, so picking up trophies. I have denounced the Nashville SC team now, Ben. I mean, they may be in my same vicinity, but
since the owner has been at odds with the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, I have denounced the
Fair
Nashville
enough.
Soccer Club. I have nothing to do with them.
I can respect that, but
yeah,
I know Mikey DeLulo on X and I have been going back and forth about the MLS season. So congratulations to his club on winning the U.S. Open Cup. I wish we could have been there. We got eliminated in the semis of that, but
I will say congratulations for getting the first professional sport Tennessee championship. Yeah, they did do that. Yeah, so congratulations.
Big for that. And
please don't take the Speedway.
Yeah. Please don't take the Speedway if you're for Nashville. But yes, congratulations to my Union. It was tense there in the closing minutes of that match against New York City FC, but glad to have the Supporter Shield yet again. And you know me, hey, this is a philosophy I keep across all sports, man. It wouldn't bother me at all if we just had the team with the best record in the American National League go straight to the World Series. I value the Supporter Shield just as much as I value MLS Cup. Now, I understand MLS has 30 teams. You can't treat it exactly like the European leagues do, but in most leagues around the world, whoever has the most points at the end of the season, they're just your champions. So I appreciate that MLS recognizes that with the Supporter Shield, and I am happy the Union have won the Shield again. Like I said, if they did it in 2020, now again in 2025. Road to MLS Cup 25 goes through Subaru Park on the banks of the Delaware River, so we'll keep our eye on that as the season comes to a close over there as well. But in terms of any motorsport final thoughts, I want to give a shout out to Ryan Vargas, who had a very cool announcement this week. And of course, I opened my phone and the tweet immediately disappears. Let me see if I can pull it up again just to make sure I quote him correctly here. And I got to scroll down quite a bit because he was tweeting about the Roval all weekend, as most of us are. Here we go. Bet y'all didn't see this coming. I'm proud to announce that I will be joining Monster Jam to pilot the legendary, all caps, El Toro Loco Monster Jam truck in Spokane, Washington on October 17th through 19th and Hampton, Virginia on November 1st and 2nd. So listen, I know Monster Jam is a radically different form of motorsports. We don't talk about it very often here on the Grid Network, but one of NASCAR's own going to do something a little bit different in this great sport. I don't know about you, Brenden. I grew up a big Monster Jam fan watching it on Speed Channel and the rivalry between Gravedigger and Max D. Wishing Ryan nothing but the best and do NASCAR proud in these couple of opportunities that he's going to get in a truck that is legendary in El Toro Loco.
Yeah, my brother's a huge Monster Jam fan all the way through, and I kind of pulled me into it as well, and just able to simulate it with BeamNG, that software, and people who made all sorts of fantastic true-to-life mods for Monster Jam. Yeah, Ryan Vargas and El Toro Loco, that's just a match made in heaven. I mean, he's a rhino. He's ready to go. And he's got the personality, too. Ryan is excellent at doing those, which is critical for being a Monster Jam driver, by the way, to be able to hype up the crowd and get out and you know, just hype up on the mic. He's all for that. So I couldn't be happier for Ryan Vargas getting this opportunity, and hopefully he can do some of this more if he finds it enjoyable.
For sure. All right. Yeah. Man, I just got to say it here. I'm just looking at the individual stats here. The Phillies are getting one hit right now. It's not like they're just losing 4-0 or they've left men on base. Like the bats just are not finding the ball right now. And I tell you, man, I knew as soon as Joel Embiid said, I'm going to watch every game, I knew that was it. They're just going to blame the Sixers for everything that goes wrong in the city. That's my philosophy. So we'll leave it at that. For Brandon Crossland, I'm Ben Schneider. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you the next 5 weeks here as we wrap up the Encore show here on the Grid Network. Thank you all so much for your continued support. We will see you next time. Have a great rest of your week.